So I'm just going to add to orders, constraint, FK for foreign key, orders, pointing at customers based on the customer ID. I'm going to say foreign key, and locally this is customer ID. And then on the other side, I'm going to put this actually onto a brand new line. On the other side, references, DBO customers, and the customer ID. So now I've got everything in place. I'm ready to go here. So I'm just going to highlight my create tables here, execute, everything completed successfully. I'm going to come back over here to our existing database, and let's add in our foreign key. And let's say alter table, DBO orders, add constraint, FK, orders, customers, customer ID, and this is going to be a foreign key. This is going to be from customer ID, pointing to or referencing my customers table, and the customer ID on the other side. Excellent. So now, if I highlight this, hit execute, what you're going to notice is we get the exact same results. Excellent. Now let's test everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new query window, and both of our databases should now be the same, that we added on all the same constraints to both sides. So I'm going to start off my testing on the existing database, mostly just because if you take a look up at the top, that was the database that it had automatically selected for me. And then I'm going to go back and execute all the exact same statements against the new database, so that way we can confirm that everything is working there. So let's start off by testing the unique constraint. And if you remember, the unique constraint was that every email address must be unique. So I'm going to say insert into customers, and I want to insert in the name and the email address. Now you're going to notice, by the way, that I'm not specifying customer ID. The reason for that is that it's an identity column, so you would notice that that would actually fail out if I tried that. And then I'm going to say values, and let's say Christopher, and then let's say test@trainsignal.com. And if I execute this the first time, you're going to notice that that's going to succeed. And if I execute it a second time, and let's actually put in a comment here. So first execution succeeds, second errors. So if we execute this a second time, you're going to notice, sure enough, we get the error message. So it tells us violation of unique key constraint, that we're not able to insert in a duplicate key. Excellent. So now we've got a customer ID of 1. Now what I want to do is I want to test our foreign key constraint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say insert into DBO orders, and we want to insert in a customer ID. We want to insert in an order date, and we want to insert in, let's say, a ship date. And I'm going to say values. Now, let me actually sneak up here real quick. I just want to prove something. I'm just going to say select, and let's say customer ID, name, and email address from DBO customers. You're going to notice that when I execute this, that my customer ID is in fact 1. So I just wanted to prove that. just so that way when I use that here in a moment, you agree that yes, there is a customer with 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a 2 here. So our first will fail, second will succeed. So we'll say 2. We'll say order date, and let's just go ahead and specify, let's just go 1/1/2012. Let's do our ship date of 1/2/2012. And this is going to fail. And the reason is that there is no customer ID of 2. So if I execute this, you're going to notice, sure enough, this is going to fail. So again, it's telling us insert statement conflicted with our foreign key constraint. The second one is going to succeed. I'm just going to cheat here. I'm just going to copy and paste. And let's just update that to be 1. That's going to succeed because the only value that we have is 1. And if we execute that, you'll notice, sure enough, everything succeeds. Let's take a look at what's inside of our orders table now. So I'm just going to, a couple of character turns, and let's say select, and let's grab our order ID. Let's grab our customer ID. Let's grab our ship date and our order date from DBO orders. And if I highlight that and I execute this, I want you to notice a couple of things. Number 1, of course, is that we successfully inserted in our value, but also number 2, that the order ID here is 2. Now, let's talk about this for a second. If you remember when we set this up, we set up our order ID as an identity column of 1, 1, meaning that we're going to start at 1 and count by 1. So why is this 2? Well, the reason that this is 2 is that our first insert statement failed. The moment that you try to do an insert, SQL is going to give you the next available value, and if it fails, it's just going to throw that value out. So there is not going to be an order ID of 1 here. So again, if you're looking to guarantee sequence, you're going to have to write that code on your own. Identity column, not going to give that to you. Now let's test our check constraint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify a ship date that is before the order date. So this will be, let's just copy and paste. I'm getting lazy here. All right. So our order date is first, our ship date is second. So let's just change this. We'll make it very obvious here. Let's just change that to 2011. And if I execute this, what you're going to notice is sure enough that that failed. And if I scroll on over, you're going to notice that it will tell us that it failed on that check constraint. And if I keep on scrolling, you'll notice that the rest of the information here is very boilerplate. The conflict occurred in database existing database on table DBO orders, but it doesn't tell us exactly what we did wrong. This is, again, where having a good name comes into play. You're also going to notice, by the way, that if I highlight everything and I hit execute on the select statement, that we didn't get that value. Last but not least, I want to test the default constraint. And I'm going to do that by just simply saying insert into DBO orders the customer ID, values, and 1. And when I do that, what's going to happen is order date will use the default date, ship date will automatically be null. So when I execute this, now what you're going to notice when I come down and do my select statement is, as promised, my order date is in fact correct. Now let's just kind of prove that everything works on the other side. Let me drop this down, choose my new database, and we should see the exact same results. So the first execution here is going to succeed. The second execution is going to fail. And again, it's going to fail on that unique constraint. And if I scroll on down, you're going to notice we only have just that one customer. If we keep on keeping on, you'll notice that when I try to do the insert with a value of 2, again, that's going to fail. When I do it with 1, because we have a customer ID of 1, and I execute that, that's going to succeed. And if we keep on scrolling down here, and we do our check constraint, you're going to notice, of course, that this is going to fail. And if we do the one last one here, which is our default constraint, you'll notice that this is going to succeed. And the eventual result is going to be exactly what we had before with our order IDs of 2 and 4. Remember that 1 and 3 both failed. You'll notice that our ship date has to be on or after our order date. You'll notice our ship date does allow a null value, and our order date does not allow a null value. When you're putting together your database, one of the most important things is going to be to set up validation, and this can be accomplished through constraints, which is what we took a look at in this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.